1996 Olympic Games to the city of Atlanta.
Atlanta is in many ways a rich city, but the disparity between rich and poor is so great that in effect we have here two cities.
We as a society have walked off and left a large segment of our people.
With a city as great as ours, to have people living under viaducts and groveling in garbage cans for their lunch is absolutely intolerable.
I just think most of us haven't yet really managed to feel just how much hurt there is out there.
Rosa and I visited Grady Hospital a few months ago. We went into the maternity ward where they take care of premature babies in incubators. We visited one whose mother was named Paulette. She was 4.5 months pregnant and didn't even know she was pregnant. She went to the bathroom and had the baby on the floor. The baby moved around. The mother screamed and the parents took the little baby to the Grady Hospital. The baby only weighed 1 pound and 1 ounce. Later, the baby was named Pumpkin. Pumpkin has survived and is now past the point of normal birth weight. Dr. Jim Laney, who's the president of Emory, and I were talking about what the Carter Center might do, and we decided to explore at least the possibility of something in a city.
Most of the things that we've been doing at the Carter Center were overseas, and we see these horrible problems overseas, and we have health programs and agriculture programs. But when we come home and look around, we have some of the very same problems with people living in poverty.
We felt that somewhere in God's world there needed to be some proof that in a major metropolitan area something could be done about human deprivation and suffering.
So lo and behold, here comes the most active ex-president in the history of America, who says that he's going to bring his vast resources to bear on the problem of fighting poverty in this city, in Atlanta.
This notion that each of us has the ability to make life better, not only for ourselves, but for others, is, I think, at the base of the Atlanta Project.
One of the beauties of the Atlanta Project is that we're going to integrate various disciplines, healthcare, education, housing, criminal justice, and that we will integrate those disciplines together to address specific problems.
The turf of the Atlanta Project was determined by our looking at single-family heads of household and teenage parents. When we plotted that, an area of about 500,000 people, we looked and there were 20 high schools in that area. Then we plotted the middle schools and elementary schools that are feeders to those high schools. What it did is make 20 little mini school systems. Well, we call those clusters. And so what we're doing is putting 2 coordinators, a coordinator and assistant, in each one of those 20 clusters, 40 people.
Mary Brown is going to be the coordinator out here. She'll have an office, she'll have communication, she'll have an assistant and so forth. She'll be working with you. But eventually we want the whole Atlanta Project control, all the influence, all the power, all the initiatives to come not from me and not from Dan Sweat, but from you.
The Atlanta Project is based on the simply stated premise of bottoms-up or empowerment. Now, that's easy to say, but that's not easy to do.
We're not coming out here with 1,000 volunteers to plant trees and to rehab houses and that sort of thing. We want you to let us know, from your perspective, what are the priorities and what are the kinds of things that you need to change your lives for the better.
How do we educate parent with child?
I think what the Atlanta Project is able to do is gather all the resources and the people, and then for us to understand the long-term work that it will take to empower those people who have been without power.
When the business of America is judged, ultimately it will not be the bottom line that will determine its success or failure. It'll be the quality of life.
I think we are going to see an absolutely amazing outpour of volunteers, folk who, honest to goodness, believe that they can create a better Atlanta.
We hope to have 20 partnerships in the 20 clusters. As we're developing a model with the Marriott Corporation and the Crim Cluster initially that can be used by other corporations to partner those corporations with the cluster.
When Bill and Richard Marriott were approached by President Carter, didn't take much of anything to get them really turned on and committed to this particular endeavor.
The CEO said, we not only will give you $500,000 or $1 million, but we want to be personally involved, and we want our corporations involved and our employees involved in a real meaningful way.
We believe as our communities thrive, we thrive. We also believe that we're only as strong as our weakest link. So as we strengthen that link, we all benefit.
Here is a leader that is himself involved in the very activity, symbolized again by the fact that President Carter would choose to be the leader of perhaps the most difficult cluster in the entire Atlanta project.
Jimmy Carter has brought a dream and a vision, not only to Atlanta, but I believe ultimately to the country. It's, to me, his greatest quality, is his ability to dream and his ability to articulate a vision and to gather people around that vision.
I think what the Carter Project does is give us a time and say, wait a minute. We've gone as far as we can go alone. We've got to reach down and take the rest of God's children with us.
If the Atlanta Project can help to take these huge problems and break them down into pieces so that individuals can say, well, if I work on this piece, I'll have some confidence that somebody else will be working on that piece, and together we can make a difference.
We'll make a difference because people are going to deal with people. Regular people, black and white, rich and poor, young and old, will come together to solve the problems.
You know, you can't help but remember when we won the Olympics, folk really didn't shout and scream, I am an African American and I am proud that we have the Olympics. Folk didn't say, I am from the poor of Atlanta and we got the Olympics. People said, I am from Atlanta and this is what we won. My hope is that something called the Atlanta Project will in fact, as best as any action can do, erase those lines, sometimes terribly deep, between and among our communities.
That ought to be the goal of every one of us living in this incredibly beautiful city. I guess Atlanta, to me, should be a city whose soul is as beautiful as its skin, as its exterior.
There's something that's got to be done. There's something that's got to change. And that we as human beings have the ability to do that. If we can focus, if we can cooperate, if we can sacrifice, we can do it.